at what we're going to do today is share about the stages of love. And, I just think this is something that's not understood well, as a 30-year mental health professional. It's like, how do we know that there is stages in love? But there are. And do you even know that they are partially ruled by hormones, or a lot ruled by hormones at different stages in your life? That in love attraction, there is hormones and emotions, that the energy needed to create a long-term attachment for committed love. But think about it in the scenes in the movies of wild lust and passion. But it said your heart wants what your heart wants. Is that true? Do you even know what you want? Is it having wild pleasure and sex without attachment, or looking for a long-term relationship with committed love? Or are social standards the reasons we have shame and guilt weighing us down about wanting guilty pleasures of one-night stands and then denying it within ourselves? Porn is one of the hugest industries created on the internet, and Viagra is a multi-billion-dollar drug or business. So I think what we're talking about is kind of important, really, to understand more about hormones and sexual attraction and relationships and how they're all intertwined, and maybe how you could feel a little bit more maybe in control of them. Or is it your body's controlling this with hormones, or your mind with going crazy and not knowing what to do? Or is it your emotions taking over with your heart wanting what your heart wants? Well, I want to look at the science. That's my part of the show a lot now that I'm doing this with Seraphine, who is more of the mystic that does go into more about the heart and about the soul's work, the spirit's work. Mine still stays in the science. So I'm going to do about science today. And she'll be back next week, and can maybe look at this again another day. But I'll tell you, as I look at the science on love, and there's really 3 stages of love: sex and attraction. So you can feel more in control of really understanding what the power of love has over you, or maybe there's confusing you emotionally and mentally in relationships. But think about it. When 2 people fall in love, what do they say? They have great chemistry. So what is love? From the scientists, there's 2 studies here. This is from the scientists at Harvard in fields that are ranging from anthropology to neuroscience. They've been asking the same question: what is love? And what can we know? What can we do that really can help us to help understand more? And is it explained by chemistry? Is really what the research was about. The scientists did find that there are hormones and chemicals involved in each stage, from lust to long-term attachment, according to this scientific team led by Dr. Helen Fisher at Rutgers. Romantic love can be broken down into 3 categories: lust, attraction, attachment. And each category, we're going to talk about the set of hormones stemming from the brain that have to do with each stage. First stage is lust, or that attraction. Are you romantically attracted to the person that you're looking at? Oh, they just make your heart sing. You can even feel a little animalistic. That's testosterone and estrogen that drives lust. I think those are the ones we hear about as teenagers, and think about it when we're young. That's what's driving this. So part of this is really partly we can't control if these are being driven. And I think that's what we look at with teenagers. Now, obsessive love attraction, or kind of that second stage of attraction, but there can feel a little obsessive. Dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin creates that attraction, or it can feel like I can't live without you anymore. I want to be with you all the time, that obsessive kind of feeling. Or if people go a little overboard, maybe stalkerish and things like that, there may be a little bit too much of these hormones. These are chemicals, and dopamine and serotonin. You hear about those in depression. So it's kind of interesting. It's almost the opposite, or not enough of some of these can make this go in the other direction. Or again, how we feel about something or someone. And then in that third stage of attachment, long-term more relationship, oxytocin and vasopressin mediate long-term attachment, the same as loving, when we love looking at a little puppy's eyes or babies. This is what happens to the chemicals of bonding when you really need to get attached to somebody. These are part of the chemicals we actually need. And it's interesting that we need different ones to keep going to get to the long-term attachments or commitment. And, we talk about in relations, commitment phobic. And so we might even see that some of these might be lacking. And so I want you to just kind of keep these in mind, just kind of looking at these, because how do we get to that stage of a long-term attachment, commitment? Because we get to that stage, it kind of gets a little mundane in life, or you're married at this point, or it's about who's buying the toilet paper or taking out the garbage. So these can be very mundane things that we have to be able to do in relationships. So it's not all fun and games. And, that attraction phase, it does wane. That's where we need a different chemical to keep it going. So there's a different study I want to talk about. And these stages of love by Arthur Eron, Eron, found that asking certain questions, yes, 36 questions, I'm going to go through some of them, can create a deeper connection just by asking these questions. And I thought it was interesting. Now, before I go there, I was going to talk to about a client, who is in that, trying to find that right guy and hasn't had successful relationships. And there can be a lot of blaming of yourself and, not thinking you're worthy and all this kind of stuff. And that there are some things that you can do about it. And as I even share these 36 questions with her, even just going on the first date from a Tinder or an app, that they found this really hunky looking guy and she's going to go out, but she doesn't know how do you look beyond, this lust, if we want to call it, with the testosterone and estrogen, to get to, how do I get to really, I want a long-term relationship. How do I get there? So I think these 36 questions of Arthur Eron might really help you to even get past and get deeper into not just the lust, even the attraction to how do I get to the long-term attachment. So I think that's why they're so important. But I thought it was interesting. I was looking at YouTube about this. You can look on YouTube and you can actually watch some of the people asking each other the questions, and they don't know each other. And it's quite obvious. But what I noticed was they're all nervous. And so I thought about anxiety here, Anxiety Simplified. That's one of my specialties as I talk about it. And this podcast or the radio show now is about anxiety, getting beyond it, right? Or getting beyond the psychology of all of this, which is maybe could be about chemicals here. So stop blaming yourself if things aren't working out immediately. But what I noticed was that everybody that I looked at this, as they're doing the 36 questions, meeting somebody for the first time, they were anxious. They want to make a good first impression. Even anxiety is a chemical of arousal in the attraction stage. Because think about it, your heightened awarenesses, your eyes might twinkle a little bit more. And Aaron did find that there can be an arousal of attraction turned on in scary situations that bond people. And he found that if you went over a scary bridge, if you're afraid of bridges or high places, and then met somebody, you had a heightened arousal as you met them. So there can be even about kind of a scary bond about maybe meeting the in-laws or going to a scary movie, and that there can be a bonding part in this scary part. But I even wondered, if that leaning into this and not feeling so embarrassed and pulling back by, oh, I'm so anxious about this, or not feeling real and really authentic with that person, that actually maybe anxiety can even bring you closer. And I do believe that there is a connection, a deeper connection created with vulnerability. That's what intimacy is, intimacy. So that vulnerability, there can be a bit of anxiety about it. So I want you to lean into it the next time instead of berating yourself and saying, oh, I can't, and I look what I am. Look into, ooh, this is going to make me more interesting, or this is going to make me be in a certain way. But I'm telling you, there's a science here that being in relationship is one of the largest predictors of happiness and in your life, and a huge predictor of health, or how long you're going to live, by the quality of the relationships, more than even smoking or obesity can show. So I want you to think about this in a different way as you maybe have fun with relationships, maybe not get so down on yourself if it's not perfect the first time. But I think that we want to get a little bit more scientific about maybe how to find a good partner. How to know for sure, using Aaron's 36 questions, or some of them at least, could help to maybe find out quicker whether you are even going to be able to create a connection with this person that you're on across the table from, or cut the ties quicker to end a relationship that is not creating deeper attraction or connection, if that is what you're looking for a deeper long-term relationship. But do you even know what you want? Do you want a long-term relationship or not? Or if you are looking for only a shallow attachment with sex without deeper emotions or attraction, then you need to know that and accept that and be real about it with the person that you're with, to not lead them on. And I really think that truth can be sensationally powerful. No deceit or sneaking around like you're doing something wrong. Own it. You're not under 18 if you're listening to this. You got to be an adult about and take responsibility for your behaviors, your intentions with somebody. Own it. Unless you're not even aware of the reasons for your behaviors and choices. And then maybe you need to look at that and get a little bit more responsible about what you do want and the way you treat other people. And I do think that Aaron's questions might even help you to be more honest with yourself and possibly with the partner. And in the movies, men seem to think they can understand women, being real, don't play games. But you will get straight answers from these questions, and then you can decide what works for you or not. But if you don't want deeper connections, own it, know it. But I'll tell you, these questions, we're going to go through some, will help you. And I will put these in my show notes for Anxiety Simplified podcast that you will find on iTunes. And the name of this podcast is going to be, that you can look for it again on iTunes or where on anywhere, is love and sexual attraction a chemical or an energy? Wild pleasure, when you know the rules. So you can look at Anxiety Simplified podcast and on iTunes. That will be out, I'm going to say, in March. And so you can look for some of these, or I will put the actual or you can look for it, on YouTube as well, or on Google, Aaron, Aron 36 questions. But I will put it on the show notes so you can see these for yourself, because I think these are really important. I think this can make or break a relationship so much quicker and faster. You're not going to waste your time, or you're going to build a deeper relationship faster. So his questions are in 3 progressively deeper kind of questions or stages, ending in a 4-minute stare into each other's eyes. And we'll talk about that more after these questions, because have you ever stared into anybody's eyes? It's very interesting. You may want to start with that. If you're already in a partnership, just kind of look at your partner and tell them you're going to do this. They're going to think you're a complete weirdo if you don't. But just say, hey, I just heard this practice to build a deeper relationship. You want to do this? We're just going to look into each other's eyes for 4 minutes. Set the timer. It's a long time. 1 minute. You might want to start with 2 minutes or 1 minute. All right. I'm going to go through some of these questions in these 3 sets of 36 questions. The first set, I'm going to just go through the first 5. And so here we go. Think about asking these on a date or a pre-date, or even on one of those, fast dating kinds of things. But you really do need to be across from somebody. So I don't think this should be good to be done via Zoom or anything. But given the choice of anyone in the world, whom would you want to have as a dinner guest? Kind of basic. This could be done even in people with social anxiety. I do a course on social anxiety. And that's one of the things that people a lot of times don't know how to start a conversation, or if there's a pause, I don't know what to do. And so this is just kind of one of those ones you could have in your head to pull out. I was just talking to a friend, and she asked me something like, given the choice of anyone in the world, who would you want to go to dinner with? And it really made me think, have you ever thought about that? Who would you want? And then you be prepared with your answer too. So you could start a conversation. All right, keeping going here. And number 2, would you like to be famous? And in what way? Again, kind of casual conversation, get to know. Would you like to be famous? All right, number 3, before making a phone call, do you ever rehearse what you're going to say? To me, as a mental health provider, and ask why, I'm looking at behaviors or emotional states. So again, it goes a little deeper. Do they have anxiety? And what do they say? Do they, are they a preparer? Are they a planner? Are they just spontaneous? I don't really care. You're just going to get to know the type of person here. Number 4, what would constitute, I think this is a really good question. What would constitute a perfect day for you? And kind of fun or flirty? Or are you going to understand more, if they say go into a deep cave and hide, it's going to show some things. Or no, I'd love to go on a boat ride, a plane ride, go to the Bahamas, lay on the beach and have my ties, or be with you, I don't know, you can just kind of hear it, right? Number 5, when did you last sing to yourself, to somebody else? A little odd. What will they do with this one? Watch their body language, which is 50% of conversation. They start folding their arms up in front of them and going, oh, geez, and going inside themselves or not having a clue. You're just going to get to know the person. Oh, gosh, this made them really uncomfortable. Singing, or you could make a joke, if it does. Oh, I know in those movies, they're singing outside somebody's window. Would you like that ever? Just you can come up with some things. If you know these questions, it could help you be a little bit lighter too. Now we're going into the second set of questions. And again, they're going a little bit deeper. If a crystal ball could tell you the truth about yourself, your life, the future, or anything else, what would you want to know? Ooh, that's a lot of questions. You have to repeat that one. What could you tell the truth about yourself, your life, your future? Interesting what they might say, right? I don't know. I find it really interesting. I even think about for myself, what would I say? So you may want to even think about this for yourself, because they're going to turn this question back on you. Or I think in the YouTube video, they were just picking questions out of a bowl. So you didn't know if you were going to get it or they were going to get it. So I think there's some fun ways you could actually do that. Oh, what at a party even? A singles only party. Oh, that would be kind of fun. All right, number 14. Is there something that you've dreamed of doing for a really long time? Oops, sorry about that. Why haven't you done it? So you're looking at their life goals, looking at their dreams, what they haven't done, what they have done. And so again, you want to know about the person that you're sitting across from. Maybe they got dreams to climb the Himalayas and you're like, crap, he's gonna die. Or I don't want to go ice on the mountain, going like that kind of stuff. That's not fun for me. You're just gonna have a better idea. All right, number 50. What's the greatest accomplishment in your life? Our life desires, whether they are met or still in process, or if they feel defeated or not. So you just kind of, again, you're going to become the detective a little bit on these. What is your greatest accomplishment? I mean, and they may reel off 15 things. You're going to be going back, crap. And I've done one thing that I'm really proud of. Oh, I don't even know what to say here. Or you're going to kind of see if you're in the same league or not. And if it makes you feel so uncomfortable, this probably isn't going to work unless you're adventurous and really attracted to that. And I want more. I want to be more like that. Maybe they can show you how. A way to assess. So then it gets more down. What is your most treasured memory? So you're going to find out more about childhood stuff. And then we're going to just kind of skip on to the second set of these 36. There's a lot of questions here, so I don't see how somebody gets through these unless you do several settings. But so we're going into the third set again that goes into more depth. I wish I had somebody with me whom I could share blank. So you're going to hear more about what they are wishing they want to do with somebody, the closeness, or they don't. Or this is getting into the romance. I wish, you may say, I want somebody to fly me around the world or whatever you want. Number 27, if you were going to become a close friend with your partner, please share what would be important for him or her to know. That's nice. If you were going to become a closer friend with your partner, please share what important for you to know about him or her. So it's interesting. So these are just questions, again, that you could ask to get closer and deeper with somebody. And how about tell your partner what you like about them? This is interesting. Be honest. I think this is a really, really important one. Can you accept a compliment? Or what are they going to say about you if you feel like you're ugly or something, or you really don't deserve somebody, and they tell you, oh, you're the most beautiful person I've ever seen in the entire world? How uncomfortable is that going to make you? So you need to notice yourself in your own reactions and accepting a compliment, or are you closing down and absolutely cannot even believe this guy? He must be a liar. She must be a liar. So it's going to be interesting even to hear these kinds of things. But it's important saying something, that you might just say to somebody you just met, or watch them squirm in their seat, or the comfort with accepting a compliment or not, or just feeling so unworthy. So you're going to learn a lot about yourself. And then 29th, share with your partner an embarrassing moment. Would you dare to be that vulnerable? Valuable to know. And then this ends with a 4-minute stare between the couple. Have you ever spent even 1 minute? So this could be really, really hard. You can see in the video of that they're sweating. That you can see their eyes are shooting back and forth. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can take this I can't tolerate this. So this can be really tough. So I don't know how you can use this, but maybe not on a first date, or just know a couple of the questions, or ask them. I would prepare them to say, I'd like to do a game and pull some questions that I got from the internet that we could kind of talk about randomly. So just to discover more things about each other. Because I can really see my clients struggling with relationship issues all the time, as a counselor. So these questions can provide deeper connection so that you can get through this. And I do believe connection is everything. And I do see the connection between love, money, food, and sex as the main areas of conflict and issues in relationships. And what if you knew right up front with some of these questions, you knew some of this stuff, so you're not going to get into the relationship with somebody who doesn't want to have sex with you. They're not interested. That's not what they want. Or money is a huge red flag that they just can't even tolerate talking about. It's too embarrassing, it's too intimate. Or food issues. They don't eat. They eat a lot, it's so that could bother you. But the number one fight that I hear and see is about money. So it's really, really important to understand some of these things. I think the other thing that you're going to feel about this, you're going to feel safety or not, or security about with this person. And you're going to find pleasure in this relationship. And so that's really important, because a lot of times what I see in relationships is that about 18 months in, that's when the lust, or the obsession, the blind love kind of stuff goes away. And that's when this can turn into you can feel it, they're more overpowering you or trying to control you, which in the beginning they were just taking control of taking you places and all this stuff. But if you haven't created a firm foundation yet, this can really turn out, in divorce. And because there's a lot more than lust and obsessed and blind love when you got to pick up the kids from school and do all the things in relationships that when they, go into a committed long-term attachment. Relationships are complicated. I do think that chemicals we, discussed earlier, kind of that blind love kind of thing, we need to know that that's what this is. But you got to have good communication, I believe, and to be a good listener. And I think that's what those questions can elicit, or vice versa, day in and day out, because it's a tough hill battle to stay in a good relationship, especially if you don't understand that at 18 or 25, and all it is about the hormones surging through your body. Because I do see it wearing off, that dreamy state, after about 18 months. So, understand that chemicals can start this, but to sustain a long-term relationship, it takes a lot of understanding, communication, and connection. That's why about 58% of first marriages fail. They're not there. We never were schooled on this stuff. We never understood this, or understood how to lay a great foundation. And I do think those 36 questions of Arthur Eron's can really give you a leg up on building that first true foundation that's not just based on lust and obsessive attraction, that it can go the distance to really build something that really builds communication and connection. And, or look at this as more self-awareness on your part. Are you willing to be vulnerable with somebody else and answer these questions yourself and judge that person? What if they hate their mother? You're gonna be in it for the wedding and births of children and for life decisions. So this is going to give you a lot of information. And can you tolerate your own anxiety answering these questions? Or do you need to grow up emotionally and mature and deal with your emotional issues? And if you don't, that's where a professional counselor comes in. You may need to seek um, some skills on how to do this stuff. And that's why we are professionals. We do this for a living. So please reach out if you need to. You can find me at anxietysimplified.net if you do want to reach out. But you know what? I really feel like this is so important because relationships to me are the best and really one of the only ways to grow in yourself, and with somebody else being a mirror on the stuff that you need to learn. And there's really no other way to do it. Your partner really becomes your mirror of what you need to learn and deal with in your own emotional life progression. And I think the number one way, and I believe, as I am in a second marriage, but this marriage now of 32 years, that I think the only way to have a long-term committed relationship is to grow spiritually together. Both of you growing emotionally, both of you choosing and finding your life purpose. To me, that's what spiritual means, supporting each other's to do what your life purpose and what makes your heart sing. So can we blame Mother Nature when it doesn't work out? Yeah, maybe. But if you're upfront and truthful with yourself and with your other, it really is up to you to use what Mother Nature gives us with these hormones and chemicals. And these 36 questions might help you do it as well. So happy relationships. And I'll see you another week and continue our talks to go beyond psychology. All right, all for now. Bye.